What's going on, guys? JuderzGaming here, back from another video, and today I'm making a reaction video, so let's get to it. If you guys haven't seen my previous uploads, please check it out down in my uploads. Also, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and then don't forget to push that notification buttons too. Let's get to it. I know it's a weekend and stuff like that, and you guys are busy, so you might see this next time, but I want to just make a reaction video real quick. It's gonna be on, I forgot what it's called, but I know it's something scary. Matter of fact, next video I'm gonna make is gonna be, music in the background and stuff like that. Hold up, let me adjust my thing. There you go. I think it's gonna be, yeah, music in the background, stuff like that. Not wrong channel. So if you guys had a nice weekend, please let me know. If you guys want to add me on social media, everything that you need to know is going to be down in the description down below. I'm looking for that one. There you go. So it's going to be 3 True Scary After Midnight Horror Stories Part 2. I didn't see Part 1, but I was just going to make a reaction video to it.
Part 1 has been doing so great. It's basically the best video of 2017 on my channel. If you guys want a part 3, put in the comment section below. Without further ado, grab a blanket, turn off your lights for 3 true scary horror stories
Let's get to it.
that happened after midnight, part 2. Midnight Run, Hollywood. Hey everyone, about a year ago I was attending film school, and I lived out in Hollywood. I was 21 years old and stayed in a gated apartment complex. Getting home at late hours, the community gym would be closed, so I go jogging at nighttime, usually doing laps around the outside of my complex. After doing this for about a year, I came completely accustomed to running at around 10 to 12 at night, until the last time I ever did that again. While jogging, I slowed to a walk. I took my headphones off and looked at my iPhone to change the song I was running to. I had a weird hunch like I was being watched. I looked across the street, and there was a tall, dark, skinny man. He was wearing nothing but red underwear and unbuttoned shirt.
What?
As soon as I noticed him, he began to open the unbuttoned part of his shirt, seductively revealing his torso. After being in Hollywood for a while, I was used to these crazy vagrants and all the weird shit they do. I just looked back at him in a disturbed manner and thought to myself, whatever, just another. Then mid thought I hear, "Hey, motherfucker! The fuck you looking at? Come here!" I turned my head over and he's screaming, pointing, and flailing around. I begin to walk faster. His screaming grows louder. I turn around and he's shirtless, just in his red underwear, crossing the street coming towards me. Where the fuck? Fuck! He was just screaming nonsense. I'm now sprinting at full speed. In the midst of this, I eventually turn around and he's gone. I re-entered my apartment complex and went home.
I would too.
After I got inside, I told my roommates what happened. We joked about it for a little. Then, there was a loud bang at our door. We all went up to the door and opened it.
It's him.
Nothing. No one was outside.
Oh.
We all went outside and looked around. No one was there. After that, nothing ever came about this. I never seen or heard of the Midnight Underwear Marauder again. Except for the fact I'd only run inside of the community from that point on. Let's never meet.
That's probably one of the craziest stories I ever heard. One of the craziest stories I ever heard.
Lesson learned about going home after a midnight movie. Last night, I went to a midnight screening of Princess Mononoke, which ended around 2:30 a.m. I had an offer to go over to my friend's house, and since he was busy packing to move to another city, I decided to just hoof it home. Thankfully, my city, at least on the weekends, have the subway running 24 hours, so I didn't have to wait in the cold to take what I like to refer to as the drunk bus. Went rather smoothly. Train arrived shortly after I got underground, and I made my connection easy peasy. The issue started when I got off at my stop. As I'm walking to go up the steps, I hear a woman on the other platform being really loud, easy to ignore. But then, I kept hearing her say, "Miss, miss." I glanced because I was the only other female on either platform, but I didn't recognize her and kept rolling. I get to the top of the first flight of stairs, and she gets to the top of her stairs at the same time, and once again starts with, "Miss, miss," but she looked like she was looking towards a ticket booth, so I assumed she was having an issue with the cops I saw on her platform and was trying to get someone to back her up. So I go through the turnstile and continued over to the escalator. I get above ground, light a cigarette, and wait for the light to change. Just as I cross the street, the same woman comes out of the stairwell of the corner I just got to. Fuck me. Not for reference. My subway stop have entrances on the street I was on, and on the street I live on. Out of habit, I don't go out the exit on my street, because the walk to my house is a little too dark and desolate. So now I'm boned because I could go back down into the subway and come out on my street, but that doesn't present a better scenario, so I walk and, of course, she follows. Kept saying, "Miss, miss," asking for a light, talking about her some cop who wasn't anything, that she didn't care that they took her baby,
What does she want?
and how she needed to get to work. I just kept pretending I did not hear her and kept walking. The guy who was walking in front of us at one point turned around because, duh. That did not make her happy, and she gave a quick, "I'm not talking to you, man. I'm just asking her." Another guy walks past us, and she asked the time, 3:08 a.m., which prompted the work comment. Just as we get to where I usually turn up to get to my street, the guy in front turns and walks the opposite direction on the same street. Since where I would turn gets rather dark where the local mechanic shop is, I decided to keep walking straight and hook around at the corner to my block. When I get to the corner and turn onto my street, she's still on my heels. I'm now starting to really panic. There is absolutely no one around, and I can't keep walking further away from the house because it's so poorly lit and no one is the fuck around. As we round the corner, I hear her say, "There's the path mark. I knew I was close to home. I live right up there." The path mark, about a block and a half up the street, hasn't been open in over a year, but it is a handy landmark, so I start to chalk it up to creepy coincidence. I proceed to my house and toss the butt of my cigarette into the street, which she picks up and gives an actually sincere thank you. I get to my door, and she decides to sit on the steps of a neighbor 2 doors down from me. I don't know my neighbors like that, but I know for damn sure she does not live there. That put me back in panic mode. Now in hindsight, I should have looped back around and gone back to the subway, but I was not thinking clearly. My keys were in my pocket, but I wasn't holding on to the specific 2 that opened my door, and I did not want to fumble them in case she was trying to break in. So I rang my doorbell, pretending I did not live there and needed to be let in, and decided to wait her out. It took about 2 doorbell rings and 15 minutes of me looking at the window like I was looking for someone. I live alone, to open the door before she got up and started walking. Mind you, walking in the opposite direction of the path mark. I followed her in the reflection of my screen door until she was far enough away that I could get my keys out and get in the door, because she could try whatever it was that she was going to try. I kept rechecking if I had locked the door, sat up in bed fully clothed, and cursing myself for misplacing my bat for the rest of the night. I don't live in the best of neighborhoods, but I've never had something like that happen scare me shitless like that. Needless to say, I really regretted not having gone to the liquor store earlier in the day, because I seriously needed a fucking drink right then. So, To the crazy lady from the subway who followed me home, let's never the fuck meet again. The night of the blood-covered nutcase. A true story. Here's a creepy incident that I endured some years ago. I'm a 41-year-old male, but the following events happened to me in 1999, when I was 24 years old. It's important to mention that I had an average build and was never a tough guy. I was working the graveyard shift at a motel in Oregon. My job title was night auditor, as I was expected to compare the daily revenue with the figures in the computer. Occasionally, someone would check in or out, but for the most part, I hardly saw a soul on my shift. My only other duty was to walk around the property every couple of hours to make sure there was nothing unusual going on. Checking the darkened property at night was always a bit creepy. The motel had a lot of rooms, and the large parking lot offered a great many hiding spots for anyone who might be lurking. In my first few months, I had to chase the occasional bum off the property or out of the lobby. They always wanted shelter and free coffee. But my typical night was extremely uneventful. Nonetheless, I was nervous about being antagonized by violence-prone weirdos. So, I bought a big can of pepper spray and Maglite, those big black police-style flashlights. One night, at 3 a.m., I stepped outside to check the property. It was midwinter and very cold, so I wore my jacket. On the opposite side of the parking lot, a large man in a green t-shirt and jeans was marching purposefully towards one of the buildings. I thought it was odd that he'd be outside in just a t-shirt, since it was so cold that my face was stinging. He marched to a motel room door and tried to open it, finding it locked. I watched him intently. He marched to the next door and tried to open it, then the next one. "Excuse me," I said, somewhat loudly. The man stopped, facing away from me, his hand still gripping a door handle. I walked towards him, gripping my Maglite and pepper spray tightly. It was obvious to me that this guy was up to no good. "May I help you, sir?" I added. The guy turned around and faced me. He was nearly 6.5 feet tall, looked muscular beneath a thick layer of body fat, had big curly dark hair, with a thick handlebar mustache, and worst of all, was covered with blood. It was all over his face and the entire front of his shirt. Even his jeans were wet with blood all around the waist, groin, and hips, and his pant legs were streaked with blood right down to the cuffs. Worse yet, he looked at me with a crazed expression, his eyes widened with irrational rage, and his teeth clenched and fully exposed. He looked like a 40-ish escape con auditioning for the role of Carrie. The sight of this gore-soaked freak made me forget to breathe. He walked towards me with quick, long strides that prompted me to click my Maglite on and shine it at him. The light reflected brightly off his face, informing me that the blood on it was fresh. He was undaunted by the flashlight and maintained his course. "Sir," I said, "are you a guest at the motel?" He continued towards me. The closer he came, the clearer I could hear his manic breathing, which contained a growl with each exhale. I felt it was obvious that he was going to attack. "I have pepper spray and I'm ready to use it," I said. His growling became more vocal, and he seemed to hasten his step. At this point, he was about 20 feet away from me. A quick side note about the pepper spray. I bought that particular can because the label claimed it would fire a stream accurately up to 15 feet. The blood-covered man raised his gnarled, bloody hands towards me, as though he intended to claw my face apart. At that moment, I pressed the button on my pepper spray can, aiming high so as to hit his face. The stream was powerful enough, and even had a bit of recoil that hit my hand back. The beam from my Maglite was also aimed at his face, so I could see the stream of liquid blast him directly in his eyes. It was so forceful that much of the blood on his face was instantly washed away. His eyes and mouth snapped shut a moment before he stopped and did a clumsy half spin away from me. I stopped spraying at him. He emitted a long, loud shriek of rage-laden anguish and raised his hands to his face. "I'm gonna call the police," I said. I announced that in case he intended to resume his approach once his pain had subsided. "Don't think this is over," he growled. He turned and faced me with one eye partially open and the large glob of mucus hanging from his nostrils. You're dead, man," he hissed. He faced the exit of the parking lot and staggered towards it. I rushed into the lobby, locked the big glass doors, and called 911. They told me they'd send officers to make a report. The cops arrived minutes later. It's a fairly small town, and took my statement. They were particularly interested when I told them he was covered in blood. They said they might be in touch later on if someone turned up injured or worse. Thankfully, I never heard from them. I don't know if the blood on the whack job was the result of an injury he'd sustained, or if he'd actually hurt somebody. But all I couldn't say if he was legitimately insane, or if he was out of his mind on hard drugs. All I know is that he was too out of sorts to wash or even wipe the blood from his face. So I shudder to imagine what he would have done if an occupied room had been accessible to him, or if he'd managed to get his big bloody hands on me. Yikes, I say.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's by Horror Studio. Apparently I'm running out of time. More videos are coming out, like gameplays, reactions, shoutouts, and vlogs, or gameplays, reactions, and vlogs. The scary reaction videos are definitely coming out. The random reaction videos definitely coming out. The basketball videos are coming out, and gameplays are coming out, like Xbox gameplays and mobile gameplays. So just stay tuned. Don't go away. If you guys need any notification, turn on your notification button too. And that's basically it. If you guys have any questions, please contact me on social media, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye.